This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, Priyanka.
Yeah, hi, how are you? Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's been a while we met. How is going?
It's good. I'm giving interviews.
Okay. How was interviews? Any critical questions or is it going good?
No, I mean, like I have given like 7 to 8 interviews, so I mean, almost I got like all the common questions. But yeah,
Okay.
sometimes if there are some real-time questions, then I get confused.
Okay. So real-time questions in the sense, I mean, do you have any questions? I'll
I
try to
don't
answer.
remember. They asked like long questions. Yesterday, they asked like some question of microservices. I don't even remember when there are two processes running on the same microservice. What I don't know, something like that. If you wanna stop both at a time, what do you do? Which code do you write? Something like that. So proxy per
Okay. 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 Actually, I'll just give some suggestion about this question.
yeah.
Yeah, microservices. Generally, we will deploy our services in a particular port. But we can deploy so many services on a machine, but we cannot deploy on more than one service in a single port. So every service would be running on its own individual port. You know about the ports, right? What is a port? Port
Yeah.
number 8080, something like that.
Yeah.
So generally, people used to have a very big machine, server machines with high configurations like 32 GB RAM and with octa-core processors. They will use for cloud or something. So they will take high hardware resource and they use to deploy most of the services in a single machine, but with different port numbers. So there is no way to collapse or two microservices cannot get collapsed. So whenever as a user you are trying to hit a data from your client to the microservice, it would be configured with a particular port number, individual port number. So the URL you are hitting would be used with that port. So here also in our examples we are using port number 3000. You can see here, right? So in this 3000 we can deploy only one service. We cannot deploy another microservice on this same port. So generally that won't be happen. Might be they would have asked like this.
Yeah.
You got it right.
Yeah.
So you should know about this. I mean the port number concepts. Based on this port number, the server can be same. In the local host itself, I can deploy so many services. But in a particular port, I can deploy only one service. So that's how all the individual services are working. All the websites are working. All microservices and APIs would be deployed in this way. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time we should answer this. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And any other questions like this?
No.
Okay. Okay. Then can we start for today's session?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Today first we'll see how to debug a Node.js
I can't
service.
see your screen. What happened again?
Sorry. Yeah. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see now?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So today we'll see how to debug Node.js code. Generally, debugging in real-time applications will have so many services, so many controllers with thousands lines of codings. And even in Java and Node.js also, so the debugging is very important because whenever you are trying to hit from the UI, UI will pass some of the parameters to the backend. So based on that parameters, the MVC structure starts with the controllers. Again, it's going to the services, and the business logic would be running. So meanwhile, we will get data from a backend database or downstream systems. So for all things, I mean, suppose if we are getting data from a downstream system that can return big size of data in JSON or some other format. So for all the things, we cannot just print on the console or just print on that screen. We cannot find out those data. So debugging using the debuggers, we can see how the flow works line by line and method by method. So in real-time applications, if we want to debug something, using a debugger is a good practice. But generally in Node.js, in developers used to use only console logs. So console logs in the sense you would have seen in our code itself, right? We have put so many consoles to ensure whether the control is coming into the service or not, like this, right? So what this will happen is, I mean, whenever this particular method or this particular service is running, whenever this line is executed, it will print the particular content in the console. I mean, console instance in this black screen. Here you can see that I am in services
Um,
slash remove file.
no, I still cannot see.
Okay, one second. Let me check. Are you able to see now?
No.
No. Okay. Now I am just. I think now you are able
Yes.
to see the screen.
Yes.
Okay. So I was talking about the console logs, right? So
Yes.
this is called console logs. So this is a simple way for debugging in JavaScript method. Actually, this is not only for Node.js. This is available in all JavaScript method also. You can use in Angular or a normal JavaScript. If you print something on the console.log, this would be printed on this black screen. So for example, whenever here we have started the service and we have made I'm just trying to hit one service from here. So it is throwing here, we have given something called slash remove file. So this is printed from the console log. From So this is console. Slash remove file is a root, and we have hit this, and we are seeing the slash remove file here in the black screen. So this is a way of debugging. It's a simple way, but just we are ensuring that whether the process is properly coming into the controllers and services, and just for printing some small data. Okay. But
Yeah.
in real-time examples, if you are debugging a very big application, not all the variables holds with small data. Everything, I mean, sometimes it may be very big in size. So that size cannot be affordable inside the small black screen. So generally people used to do that. I mean, that time they will go for debugging. So in Node.js framework itself, they are giving something called inspect. It's a new module they are giving for debugging the Node.js. Okay, let's see about that inspect now. So these are the some of built-in modules in Node.js. Here you can see something called debugger. Okay, so now I'll tell you how to use this debugger in real time. Okay, so let's go to the console window. Now our server is running. I'm just stopping now. Previously we used to start with npm space start, correct, for starting our application. So why we use the npm start is, so npm is directly connected with the package JSON. So in the package JSON, there is something called script. It is an object. So here we have given something called start. So start is a keyword, and we have given some value for the start. So if you give npm space start, it will automatically come to the package JSON and it will search for that start keyword, and it will take this value as a command and it will run on the screen. So this is how the flow works. That is starting an Node.js server. Okay. So instead of using npm server, we can even directly use this command for running that. So for an example, I'm just stopping this server now, and I'm not going to use npm server. Instead of that, I'm just pasting that command node space dot slash bin slash triple w. So now also you can see the server is started in the same way. Okay. So node is the command. Actually, in Java, you can see like, I mean, for compiling, you will use Java C, and for running, you will use Java as a command, right? For running a particular Java file or class file. So in the same way, for running a JavaScript file in the node, this is the command. You should use node as the keyword, space the file name. Here dot slash is the root, and the slash bin triple W is our file. That is our server file. Here you can see inside bin, the triple W is our main server file. So we are just simply starting this server file with the name of the node. So now based on this, the server is being started. Okay. So for starting in the inspect mode, instead of directly starting like this, we are going to do a small change. So actual command for starting is node space dot slash bin slash triple W. So instead of that, I'm going to do some hyphen hyphen inspect. Now you can see that it's throwing, I mean, now this, the server is started with the inspect mode. So now it is throwing something called debugger is listening on a particular URL. That is WES colon 127 9229 is the default debugging port. So just before I was talking about the port, right? So all the servers or all the microservices, everything will be running on a particular port. So the same port cannot be used for some other service. So now we are starting with our server, but not on the 3000 port, but with the 9229 port. This is for debugging mode. Okay. You can stop me if something is confusing or you need more clarification. Okay.
No.
Yeah. So let me just copy this URL. So now the step 2 is, actually this debugger is directly connected with Chrome debugger. So we should open the Chrome, and we can check whether this Chrome debugger is connected with our 9229 port server. That is that inspection port. So for that, there is a protocol Chrome colon slash slash inspect. So now this will show what other things can be enabled now. So it is loading. Yes, now it is loaded. Now you can see that dot slash bin slash triple W is our server. You got it? Right? So now our server has been started with 9229 port, and that is connected with the Chrome browser. Okay. So
Yes.
now we can do in two ways. So there, one is we can directly use this URL. Here WS means that is web service. Now our services has been hosted as a web service, but sometimes this URL may fail like this, because now we have deployed our code in the local host. So it is looking as a web service. So for that, but in real time, this URL would be working generally. Okay. So in the way, if you're starting the node with the inspect mode, that would be giving you some debugger URL, and if you paste that URL on the Chrome browser, this should be connected with the debugger. But in this case, it is not working. So we are going to use some other method. So we are directly going to inspect through this Chrome colon slash inspect. So now this inspect is just for verification whether our server is properly connected with the inspect mode. So now it is properly connected and I'm going to inspect. So I'm just clicking on that inspect link. Now it is opening the Chrome Dev Tools. Okay, it's a screen. Now you can see that our entire code base is loaded here. My app2, bin, root, services, package like JSON, package JSON, app.js, everything.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I think, do you have any, have you ever seen this debugger tool
No.
in Angular side? No, right?
No.
Okay. Okay, so I'll tell you about this debugger tool. This is Chrome debugger tool. Generally, we used to say. So this is for the developers. This would be by default. It would be attached with the Chrome. If you're an Angular developer, generally for front end also we can use the same debugger. I mean, in interviews also you may face these kind of questions. So just listen it. Okay, if you are an Angular developer, means they will ask something how you will debug your Angular application.
Yeah.
So there is a way called debuggers, that is a Chrome debugger. In Firefox, if you go for a particular browser, every browser having its own debuggers. So
Okay.
in this way, now we are trying to, so you can answer like this. So every browser is having its own debugger. We can enable the debugger, and the debugger will load the code. If you are if this question is for Angular, that will load that Angular code, and we can use some breakpoints, and we can check line by line how the flow is running. Okay. So generally, this is the way. I mean, if you may get this kind of questions, how you will debug real-time web applications. So for Angular also, this is the same way, and for Node also, now we are connecting that Node code with the browser, and we are going to debug in the same way how we will do in Angular. So this is a common way for Angular and Node. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So just for an example, I'll show you. Now I'm going to connect with google.com. I'm not going to do anything with our Node server or something. Google.com is a generic website, right? So just now I have loaded google.com. Now as a developer, I want to debug this whether this google.com is working correct or not. What should I do? Is I should first I'll open the debugger mode. Okay. So the debugger would be opened by clicking on F12 button in your keyboard. Now I'm just pressing my F12 button. Now some pop-up has been loaded here. You can see, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this, you can see that some of the tabs called console. Here, the console in the sense, in the node level, if you are putting something on the console, you will see that on this black screen. Okay, correct this in console command. So in the front end, if you are using Angular or React.js or something in the front end code, if you are printing something on that code, that would be printed here in this console. Okay. And second thing is sources. Sources will load all the front end files here. As we can see here in our sources, 1 second. Yeah, here I'm in the sources mode. My sources now my entire Node.js code base, correct? So my app to everything. These are the sources. So sources in the sense the code base, actual code base. But if you are in the real, front end level, you will get your front end code here. Okay.
Yeah.
And next one is network. So network, you can see what are the calls are going in and out. So now for Node.js, we are making this calls using this postman. We are not, because we are using get call, post call, everything. So, but in real time applications, they will access the application from the front end. From some front end code like Angular.js. So that time the calls would be going from the browser. So those calls you can see under this network tab. Okay. And next one is performance, memory. Everything is the memory in the sense the every browser is having its own local storage and session storage. Those memories, for example, here you can see that google.com holds 8.9 MB out of 11 MB. Like this, you can see the memories and applications. Here you can see the local storages. You know about local storage and session storage, right? In Angular level.
No.
No, okay, okay. Generally, in browsers, will be having its own storage for saving that. So if you have any Angular session, you'll get more details about this. Okay. So, but you just mind these words. If you may get questions in interviews like local storage, session storage. For example, every browser will be having 5 MB of local storage. As a user, if I want to log in into some website, I'm just logging in means I want to store my username and password or my particular details in the browser. then only I can make a request from the browser to the server. I don't need to every time enter my username, right? So for those kind of things, we'll use some storages, small kind of storages in all browsers. That is called local storage. So all the websites will be having its own local storage, session storage, and the cookies. Generally, you would have seen this. I mean, if you are opening some website, means they will ask for a pop-up. You should agree for this cookies. Cookies means they will store some data. I'm just opening the cookie of the google.com here. You can see everything with key value pairs. So like this, these all are the properties of a front-end thing. Front-end in the sense an Angular thing. So if you're developing some code in the Angular or in a front-end tool, you generally people used to use this local storage for storing values, and they will set the values in the cookies. They will again send back these cookie values to the server, like our node server, and again they will we will process that data for finding a particular user or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I running fast, or are you able to understand?
No, I'm trying to understand.
Okay. If you have some question, you can immediately stop me,
Yeah.
and again I'll explain you. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
just giving a overall view. What is a debugger?
Yes.
Generally, for fresher, this is one of the important question. How you will debug an application? That's why
Yeah.
I'm saying in the front end level. Okay.
Okay.
And the security means whether it is HTTPS or not, those kind of things. So generally, you can answer that. I'll use the browser debugger to debug an application that will hold console and sources and network everything. Okay. So in this network, for example, if I'm going to search something, okay, here I'm going to, you can see I have typed flower inside this network. Now it is making so much of calls. These all are the calls to a particular server. Now I'm just keeping mouse on your first one. You can see this google.com/complete/search and some blah blah data. So this is now it is making one server. So I mean some request from a client to the server. Simply the same way how we are making in this Postman. Now we are using this Postman. Instead of that, just some service calls are made from Google to the Google server. That is browser to the Google server. So you can see all these request details. What are the requests are going and what is the response I got? Everything under this network tab. So now I'm just opening the first one. Okay. So inside the preview are the input that is sent from the client side, that is browser side. For example, I'll compare with this Postman. In this Postman, I'm just passing this body, right? Some required parameters, content, this value, everything is similar to this one, like under this preview tab. So simply the preview tab contains the values, and inside the headers you can see that what is the URL or the server it is hitting, and what is the method get call or post call, and what is the status code. If the call is success, it will return this 200. Otherwise, it will throw you some error 404 or something. And under that you can see that the request headers, everything. You can see all the particular details about your request, and in the response you can see what is the response that is returned from a particular server. Here the response is success for this particular service. So here in real time the response from the Google server is something like this. So they will again pass these details in the front end in the Angular code to show you these pop-up like flowers images, flowers column, flowers name, everything will be coming based on these things. Actually, what they're doing is whenever you're typing a particular word, they are making one service call to the server to find that. Now I'm just pressing F, L, you can see that so many service calls are made. Okay. So this is called a debugger window. Generally users won't use this. Generally some developers like us will use these windows to find the values from client to the server. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the way we are debugging in the front end level. So now we are going to do the same thing, and we are going to use the same debugger for debugging our node code also. Okay, so now I'm just closing this Google window. Now let's open our own window. So we are going to the Chrome inspect, and I'm just clicking on that inspect button. So in the same way, so this is that small pop-up. Now it is the size is big. I mean, it is loaded in the full screen. The same way you can see that console screen. Here you can see I'm in services. So that is something we try to print on the console. Here you can see that I'm in service, that is printed on the black screen. So what are the things you are trying to print on the console would be loaded there. So, okay. And inside the sources you can see all our code bases. So the entire code base will be here, and memory in the same way we saw in that front end memories for browser memory, that is local storage and decision storage. But here the memory is the actual heap memory. So whenever you are deploying a microservice or API in a particular service, that will take its own size of memory in the RAM, and all the variables and all the values will be assigned on that particular memory. So those memory details, how it is going, everything will be tracked here. But generally for debugging, we'll use these sources. As of now, you are good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we are going to actually, as of now, we are not yet started with the debugging. Okay. I'm just explaining you how the debugging tool, this debugger. Okay. Now we are going to start debugging. Okay. So let's see how to debug. So now my sources in the sense my entire code base has been loaded here. Okay, now I'm going to check. So there is something called get stream. So it is a service call. So in real time, I'm just facing some issue in this call. So I'm getting some improper response, or somewhere my server is stopping. I don't know where it is. So just I want to debug that. So what I'll do first, I'll just check whether it is going properly into the controller level, and whether it is going to the second services level, and I'll check line by line and method by method whether all the values are passed properly, and whether all the methods are called properly, everything is working fine or not, and I'll find where is the problem. So let's take this itself. E/user slash get stream is a service call, right? So where is it? Inside the roots users slash get stream is the root. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some breakpoints here. This is roots, this is users, and I'm going to make some breakpoints. This blue color button you can see right in line number 199. I'm just clicking here, means I'm just making a breakpoint. So breakpoint in the sense, whenever you are starting the server and you are just making that request and this code is trying to load, if you are giving some breakpoints in that code, that is a breaking point of that code. So the code won't run beyond that breakpoint until unless you are clicking the particular button to move next to the next line. Okay, so simply to check whether everything flows correct or not. So that is called a breakpoint. So I'm going to make some breakpoints here, 199, and now I'm ensuring this is router.post. Here I'm coming, and I'm just going to make some breakpoint here in 203, and this is JSON service 2.getStream. So I'm going into my services folder, inside JSON services 2 and getStream. I'm going to make a breakpoint here in 340, and some example breakpoints 342 and 346. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I have done is I have just made some breakpoints here. Now I'm going to run the code from here. Just I'm clicking this. So you can see that on click of that service, immediately it is coming to the breakpoint. 199 is crossed and it is breaking in 203. The value is not yet come into the postman. Previously, if you click on that click yes post button, we got the success message, right? That means the request is made to the server, the code was running good, and it was giving back to the proper response, that is success response. Now the code has been break at our breakpoints, that is the code is not yet fully loaded, so it is holding on the breaking point. That's why it was showing us here. Yeah, so it is simply standing here, the flow is not yet run, that's why we are not getting back the response here. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can see that in 199 it is showing, you can in the right side in this pink box you can see something called request equal to incoming message everything, because I have made a breakpoint here. So I'm just the two variables request and response are coming here. You can see that I'm just mousing over on this request, a pop-up is coming, and that pop-up is showing you all the data like body, client, everything. If you're not running our code base in the debug mode, you won't see these details. Now we are running on the debug mode, and we have made some breakpoints, and we are checking the variable values now. In the response, what is the value? In the response, holds these values now. Request holds these values now. And if you're going to the console log, console is a method. These are the values in the console. Again, this in this breakpoint, it is stopping here in 203. Here you can see that JSON service. JSON service is a method name. I can see what are the things are there in JSON service 2. See, all these methods are there in the JSON service 2. It is showing. You can see that remove file, write file, everything we have made. So you can even open the and see what are things are there. So like this, line by line, it would be showing the values and what are the values stored on a particular variables. Clear?
Yeah.
Or something messy?
Yeah.
Okay, you can just hear this video back. You need
Yeah.
to hear it two, 3 times, then only you'll understand everything clearly.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay,
do.
sure, sure. So now we are going to the next. Now the code is simply standing in line number 203. It is not even moving to the next line, so it is not even giving the response back. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the code to the next level. So I have some of the buttons here. This is step over to the next function. This is step into the next function. You can use F11 controls also, or you can use F10 controls also here. So if I click on this button, the code would be moving to the next line, and I can check the values of the variables in the next line. So I'm just going to make here. Now it is moving to the service now. You can see that it came to our next breakpoint. That is, now we are in JSON service 2.js. So here it is in the getStream method. Here we have put a breakpoint in 342. Now I can see that file name that is undefined because this is not yet loaded. So I'm just mousing over on my directory name. It will show you the directory name, which directory, d colon my app services. Like this, in the debugging mode, we can see all the values of the variable. So I can ensure whether it is properly loading, whether the proper values are the. If something is going wrong, I can immediately find out in which line is going wrong, and I'll fix that issue. So this is how I'm going to debug. Now again, I'm clicking on that button. It is going to the next level. Again, it is going to the next level. See here, line by line it will be going. Now the path.js is a node module. So it is going into the path.js and it is executing some loops here. All the variables, I mean the variable values are being stored in this pink box. So I'm just clicking next, next, next. So I'm just ensuring that okay, these lines are working properly. Okay, good, good. So I'm just moving to the next line. Now again it came to the pipe. So now again it came back to our services. It has executed all these values. The path, I mean the path that join, everything was running and it is throwing the values here. What was the values given back? Now you can see that in the file name is d colon something slash test file, file 2. I'm just seeing, again I'm seeing what is the value there in read stream, checking the values in the write stream, whether everything is correct or not. So like this, I'll go line by line, variable by variable. I'll narrow down the issue to find out where is the exact issue. Okay, now I'm just, now it came to the callback method. That is a logs method. Now the file name I'm just saying. And in this callback, we are sending the response back to our UI. Next, I'm clicking. You can see that now we got the success message. That is, the call is over now. Everything is run properly and we have debugged our flow from the controller to the services in all the values, whether everything is properly going or not. And once done, the values have been coming here. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and now I have, now again I'm trying to click this service get stream. Now again it will stand there. So still I'm not getting response. I'm canceling the request. Just I'm clicking on send button. So you can see that now it is not giving us the response. Why? Because I have made breakpoints here. So in real time, I'll make so many breakpoints to check whether my flow is running properly or not. So once I found the issue, I don't want to make these breakpoints again. So what I do is, this is a button that is deactivate breakpoints. I'm just clicking on this deactivation button. So immediately all the breakpoints would be deactivated. Again, I'm clicking on this send button. Now I'll get the response immediately. See, now I got the response. The code is not broken anywhere, or there is no breakpoints for the code flow now. Now I want to again check means again I want to click this button. Now the breakpoints are enabled. So these are the breakpoints where and all I have made. Users 199, 203, 340, 342, 46 are the 5 breakpoints. I can remove some of the breakpoints like this also. And I'll run this code. So it won't go for this 2 breakpoints. Now I have only breakpoints in these 3 places. Again, I'm just trying to hit this, and you can see that it's directly coming to the service, not on the root. Okay. So these are the controls for handling the breakpoints and debugging. This is the way of debugging a code in Node.js. Okay. Do you have any queries till this?
No.
Okay, fine. Anyway, if you have time, you can just listen this video, and you may get queries that time. So again, if you need, I'll explain you later. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 minute. I'll have some water.
Yeah.
Okay. So next we'll see about how the events are working in Node.js.
Okay.
So do you have any idea about what is an event generally in JavaScript or Angular or Node.js, anything?
Um,
In Java also there is events, I think.
I mean event like the button clicked and all the events when we perform some action.
Correct. So that is we are making something or we are triggering something.
Yeah.
That is called an event. And we
Yeah.
can write some handlers for that event. I mean, whenever you are performing something or something is triggered from somewhere or something is happening, that is called event. Something is happening, we can do some reactions for that. So we can write some handlers for that. So in front end level, if you are clicking on a particular button, you can write technically some code for on click event. So whenever on clicking of that event, what should be happening? So like that. So all the events can be handled in some handlers. So generally, if your event is there means there must be some event handlers also. Okay. So this is a concept of event handlers. So in front-end applications like Angular, you said, the button clicks or mouse over or key press, everything would be an event that is user is making. So in backend, inside a service or microservice or API or a server, there won't be an event that is directly happening by the user. So these are the some events are made through the request. So for example, if you are making some request from the client to the server, we can say that as an event. So a new request has been come, we need to do something. Like which we can write a handler for that request. Okay. So
Okay.
in such way, we can create our own events also. So for example, I can say some example like you are trying to get some data from the downstream system, or you are doing something and you want to do something else, or you want to trigger, or you want to say to some other method that this has been done. Now you are ready to do your work. Like that case, you can create or you can emit your own event, or you can write your own event emitters, and that event would be captured into a particular handler. So simply we can create our own event emitters inside the Node.js, and we can write our own event handlers for that particular event, and that handlers will be called whenever that event is emitted. So we can create our own events, we can create our own event emitters, we can emit our own event. Again, we can handle the same event on the same service or some other service. Okay, it is confusing, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
even Node.js also, because of this interview questions, I know, some events, but that is ng for ng on init, ng eat,
mm,
something like that. Ng if.
yes, those are things in Angular, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, those are the things those are the front end events. So that means those events would be happening on a browser.
Okay.
So ng if, ng for and all, everything will be comes under Angular, and the code would be loaded in the browser, and the browser will handle that events. But anyway, if you are having some events, then definitely you will be having some event listeners also. So inside the listeners, they would be writing like if what ng if is a event means, it is an like if condition. If something is happening means what should I do, like that. So always there is an event, and there would be an event listener also, or we can say that event handlers also. So in backend, we'll generally say that event handlers. So
Okay.
for inside Node.js, we can create our own events also, and we can write our own handlers, and we'll use based on the scenarios. So here you can see how to create some new events. You can see this events is a new one of the built-in module in Node.js. This is how you, as I said, the requiring a particular module. Event is a built-in module in Node.js. So you can require your own event. Based on that event, you can create a new emitter like this, and on particular emitter, you can write a event. Here, event is name of the event. So I'm just writing the handler. My emitter is the emitter, and dot on means I'm going to write a handler.
Yeah.
So here you can see that my emitter, and here also my emitter. So first I'm creating one emitter, and on that emitter is ready to emit an event. So I'm just emitting an event called name is event. You can give any name here. For example, get data, put data, something. So it's just a keyword. So it is emitting an event called event. So whenever this line is executed, so that means whenever this event is emitted, automatically the control will be coming here, and it will check for the handler. I have written one handler for this event with a method. So it will check this keyword event. So now the event is emitted. I need to execute this callback method. This is how it works. So I'm creating my own name events, and I'm emitting that event. And if that event is emitted, that would be handled inside this handler. So and this console log will be executed. Clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, so simply I'm just repeating. So I'm just requiring the event, and I'm just based on that events module, I'm creating my emitter. And my emitter, using my emitter, I can emit an event, and I can write to the handler for the particular event. So all the events having its own handlers. So now let's implement this code in our code base. So inside JSON service 2, we can use any of the service already existing one. So now we have get stream. So okay, inside that get stream itself, we can write this. I'm going to the home page. Variable event. I'm going to require the events. I'm going to write, and now the event is ready. Now I'm going to create the emitter for this, as in this module. So here events is the name of my event. I'm just creating my emitter here. So I have created my emitter. So I'm going into the get stream callback. So in that first method, I'm going to emit an event. Let's name it as my new event. It is an event. I'm going to write a handler for this. But what I'm going to do is before emitting, I need to write my handler. On my new event is my name. Again, if this event is emitted, I need to do some function. This function. I'm just console log my event is emitted. So now I have created my emitter. Now I'm here in this line, I'm emitting an event. If that event is emitted, I'm doing something in that. I'm just printing on the console. Okay, let's restart the server now. So now I'm not going to use inspect mode because I don't want to inspect anything. So I'm going to directly start my server. Now I'm going to hit this get stream. I got the response. Now I'm just checking here. You can see that my event is emitted. So as the event is emitted now, this console is printing. Got it? Suppose if this event is not emitted, I'm just commenting this line now. So this event is not emitted now. So let's expect whether this console is printing now or not. So I'm just hitting this. You can see that there is no console called hey my event is emitted here in this service. Only two consoles are printing because the event is not emitted. We have commented this line. And there is one more scenario. I'm going to emit the event, but I'm not going to emit this particular my new event. Instead of that, I'm going to emit some other event, my new event 1, 2. So now also this event is not emitted, but I'm emitting some other event, but this event is not written inside a handler. So what will happen now? Just hitting the service, got the response, and I'm just checking in the console. Now also there is no response printed here. You can see because that event is not emitted. It is just simply listening for my new event. Got it?
Yeah.
This is how events are handled in Node.js. And next we need to see something about database connectivity. So for connecting database, before talking about the database, I'll give you some things about the databases. So what do you know about databases? I can tell me. What is a database? What are the types of database? Do you have any idea about that?
Um, like database is to store the data which we like use in the program. I mean the data values and everything. And we have like Oracle, SQL,
Mm.
Cassandra, all the database. I mean I just am aware of SQL and SQL queries.
Okay. So there are two kinds of databases are there. One is SQL database, another one is NoSQL databases. So these SQL databases are something like you said, Oracle or SQL, like that is related to RDBMS, that is relational database management. Here, data would be saved as the tables. You know that everything would be saved as the tables, and the primary keys, foreign keys would be there for accessing the data between two tables. We'll use some select query, select star from some table name, and like that. You know, right? SQL databases.
Yeah.
But in other end, NoSQL databases there is no concept of tables are there. There is the concept of documents. Everything would be saved as the documents. So documents in the sense JSON documents. For example, you can write a full entire JSON, and you can here also we have some JSON, right? Here now in the package JSON we can see a JSON. It is a JSON file. So you can save this entire data as a document inside a NoSQL databases. You may get these kind of questions. What is SQL database and NoSQL databases? Okay. So in
Yeah.
SQL databases is having table structure, everything, and the data would be accessed using key values, using primary keys or foreign keys. So and relational databases. But in NoSQL databases, data would be saved as a documents. There is no concept of tables or columns here. So it is a package JSON means you can save this as a particular document inside a folder. So you can access this using particular key. For example, in real time, if you are going to save this package JSON, this is a document. It will be having its own ID and it will be having its own document type, everything, and this will be saved inside some folder. I mean, for example, inside some hard disk. So using this package.json as a key, if you are passing this key, you will get this entire document as the value. This is NoSQL DB structure. Okay. So generally, the Node.js can be connected with both SQL DBs and NoSQL DBs. So for connecting with Oracle, SQL, and NoSQL, for example, for NoSQL DBs or Couchbase, MongoDBs. I'll tell you here. You can see that Couchbase. So it is a NoSQL database. Mm. So this is the website of the Couchbase. Here you can see that how Couchbase beats MongoDB. MongoDB is also one of the SQL DB. They are the competitors. If you are doing more write operations, generally people go for MongoDB. If you are doing more read operations, people used to go for Couchbase. Nowadays, instead of using SQL DBs, most of the real-time applications are using NoSQL DBs like this Couchbase or MongoDB because these are very fast in accessing when comparing to the SQL DBs, and the data storage is very less when compared to the SQL DB. Because in SQL DBs like Oracle and SQL, you need to write very complex queries using inner joins, something for accessing a particular data. But in this NoSQL model, you can directly save as per the structure you want. If I want to say an example, if we want to save some user detail, means in SQL DBs like Oracle or SQL, what we used to do is we'll first save one table called user that will hold that user name and employee ID, everything. Again, we will be having some other table called address. In that address, we will be having username and their address, phone numbers or something, and some other table called their roles or some professional details. So if I want to take some details about the user, what should I do? I should first connect with these three tables using some joins, inner joins or something. So I should access user table. I should access address table. Again, I should search for that professional table to take their professional data, and I need to merge everything in a query to get to the accumulated data. So this is the structure of the SQL. But if you're coming to the NoSQL DBs like this Couchbase, inside a single document itself, you can save everything. Like inside a JSON, I can make one object called username details, another object called address details, another object called professional details. So all these details can be stored as per my wish, as per the requirement of business logic. So I can store as a single document, and I can using a single key or the single name, I can fetch the full document, this NoSQL document, and I can simply process that. And this data structure is also JSON. So JSON is highly related with the Node.js or some AngularJS. So the data parsing also very simple. So so everything would be most faster than comparing to the SQL DB. So that's why now most of the companies and real-time applications are moving to this NoSQL DBs. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is and for connecting from the now we can see how to connect the Node.js to the DBs. So for connecting from particular Node.js to the DBs like SQL DBs or NoSQL DBs, NPM is providing some modules for us. If you want to connect with the SQL DB, they have a particular module, and if you want to go to some NoSQL DB also, they have a particular module. So now let's see an example here. So we'll just open. first page. So now I want to connect my Couchbase. Couchbase is a NoSQL DB from my Node.js. So I'm just going to search a particular thing in this npm module. You can see this. Couchbase is a module.
Yeah.
Here you can see this. This is the Node.js allow you to connect to the Couchbase cluster from Node.js. So already there is a module. Using this module, you can directly connect with clusters. And you can see this code snippet. As we saw in the events, you need to require this Couchbase module. You need to use npm install for installing this npm space install. So again, you need to require this. You will get this Couchbase instance. Here the cluster is, you can see some URL here, Couchbase :/127.0.0.1. It is something similar to our downstream systems. So for accessing our downstream systems, we used some HTTPS protocols. Yes, here you can see, right? So it is a downstream system. Here it is using HTTPS protocol for getting some requests. In the same way, Couchbase can be deployed in some other server and that can be exposed as a web service. Now it is the URL of that particular Couchbase web service. Okay, so what should I do is generally in real-time systems, in real-time applications, our node code or the node application would be deployed in some server, and there would be a particular team called database team. What they will do is they would be having a dedicated machine, I mean physical machine or a server, and they will deploy the Couchbase server inside that machine. So and they will configure that Couchbase server inside that machine, and they will expose that in a particular URL. So that URL will be something like this, some similar this. So instead of using HTTP or HTTPS means hypertext protocol, that is for accessing client server details. Here the protocol would be Couchbase. So the data would be accessed from Couchbase. So this would be given from the database team for us. For okay, inside the Couchbase website, you can see how to configure a Couchbase server. So generally, Node.js developers won't do that because there would be an admin team for database. They used to configure these things. Like for example, if you go into this website, Couchbase product server. So here you can download the particular server. So it will like the Node.js, Couchbase also giving some free versions for the developers, and in real-time application they would be using some enterprise versions that would be a paid one. They will configure that server, they will deploy into a particular machine, and they will give their URL to us. So if you hit this URL, you can access Couchbase like that. So what we need to do is, as developers, we need to create a new Couchbase cluster using this URL, and the cluster would be created. And every databases, not even Couchbase, SQL or NoSQL databases will be having its own username and password for authorization. So we need to configure this username and password in this cluster. And open bucket is creating a connection to that bucket. If username and password is correct, and you can open a particular bucket. Bucket in the sense folder here. I said right, everything would be saved as a documents. So all the documents would be saved on particular folders. Here a bucket means a folder. For example, all user details can be saved on the user bucket. All some other professional details would be saved on the some professional bucket. So everything we can separate as a bucket. One particular bucket can hold so many documents. So like that, if in real-time examples, if it is Google means Google will be having one bucket for mails, and Google is providing so many services, right? So like YouTube, videos, images. For every data resources, they would be using individual buckets. For images, they would be having some bucket called images. For videos, they would be using some bucket called videos, like that. So if you want a particular bucket, you can open that particular bucket. Using that bucket, you can use, instead of queries, you can use commands to take the document. Here, upset in the sense update and insert. So you are going to insert a new document, or if the document is already exist, you are going to update the document. This is the key of the document, test doc. And it is a small JSON. So earlier I said, right, everything is a JSON, and all the JSON would be having its own ID to access that particular document. Here, that name Frank is a small sample JSON. In real times, it would be a very big JSON data, and that would be having its own ID. So we are going to bucket.upset will just place this particular JSON into this particular bucket with this name. So you can get that same data using get command. Now you can see that bucket.get, you are using test doc. So here it is a key. Now for getting that document, I'm just passing this key, and I'll get that value inside this result. Simple, right? If you're going for the SQL DB, means you need to write a very big query like select star from default bucket where ID equal to test doc blah blah blah. And if you want to access too many databases, I mean too many tables, you need to write inner joins, outer joins, and all the joining details. But in NoSQL DBs, it is very simple. You just need a key and a value. Value is a JSON. You can directly put that JSON using the key, and you can directly using get using that keys. This is how some NoSQL DBs are working. It's a sample for Couchbase. Clear, right?
Yeah.
And in Node is providing ways for connecting with SQL DBs also. Okay, now let's check for SQL DB inside that npm module. Here you can see that SQL. Here also in the same way, for all the things, for if you want, general concept is if you want to connect some downstream systems or some databases, everything, what you need to do is all the product owners would provide their own npm modules for connecting with their product from Node.js. You can find that product in this npm.js. If you're going now, we saw that some example for Couchbase. Now, if you want to connect with the SQL DB, SQL also they are providing their own. So what you need to do is simply you need to require that SQL module here. So here they are doing require SQL. Again, they are passing here using this SQL module. You can connect most of the SQL DBs, MS SQL, MySQL, PostgreSQL, everything. Here you want to pass that name of the DB SQL. Again, in the same concept, name, I mean username and password details you need to provide, and name and the columns, which are the things you need to access, like in the same way in the bucket. So these are some basic configurations. So instead of in Couchbases, we used to take get and upset, insert the commands to access the data. Here we used to write the queries. Here, for example, user is the table and user.select, and we are using a simple select user query. So here, so in for accessing data from the SQL DBs, we need to use these queries to access. So these are some configurations for configuring the SQL DBs. You can see this is a bit complex when comparing to NoSQL DBs. That's why people are nowadays going to NoSQL DBs. So simply for connecting from Node.js to all other downstream systems or databases, everyone have provided their own npm modules. Using that module, we can connect with databases and everything. Okay. Clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think we have covered most of the part. And I was thinking to give you some more hints about node REPL command. So whenever you are installing the node command, and wait, so I'll give you some overview of all major built-in modules in Node.js here. Okay, so you can have a look. So this is the Node.js official website. This is the docs, I mean Node.js documentation here. So these are some built-in modules already there in Node.js. I'll just give you some hints about this. So here this async testing is for using testing. Here asynchronous hooks, it's a module for handling asynchronous things. And the third one is the buffer. Buffer is actually, I told you right. So whenever you are installing a node server in a particular machine, that will automatically take some memory for storing all these variables. That is called heap memory. So out of this heap memory, there will be a memory called buffer. So
Okay.
inside actually this buffer won't take the actual memory in the RAM, but it will take the memory in the hard disk, a small space of buffer. So some sessions before we had a view about the streams, right? We can have a look on that. In that streams, we use something called pipe. We are just piping between one response to another response. Okay, where is that? Yes, pipe. Now here in this example, you can see that we are reading one stream and we are piping to and writing the stream. In this example, I was telling you like read stream will be having its data, write stream will be having its own data. But
Yeah.
if you are piping this using streams, I mean, now what we are going to do is we are going to move the file from test file to test2, but it won't sit on the memory of the RAM. In real-time examples, these data would be very big in size. So generally, if you are saving onto a particular variables, it will occupy a very big in size memory. Because if you are installing a node server into a particular machine, by
Mm.
default, it will take some space. That is around 1.5 GB. If what I mean, what if particular text file is taking a size of 1 GB and another file is taking a size of 1 GB? So now it is taking 2 GB. Now it is overflow with the 1.5 GB, right?
Yeah.
So for handling these much of very big files, we are going for the streams I told on that day. So if you are using streams, the memory won't directly sit on the memory of the Node.js, that is heap memory. So then if that is not even sit on the memory of the Node.js, then how this processing is happening, how it is working means, on that time it is using buffer memory. So that is called buffers. So buffer is the memory that is out of the heap memory. This won't save the entire file data inside a single buffer. So it will save the data chunk by chunk, that is line by line or piece by piece. So that will save that buffer, that will save on the buffer memory before writing onto this file too. Simply if the text of the file name is test file and the text is, the text of the file 2 is the test file 2. First it will read the first letter T and it will save on the buffer. Again that the T would be written on the next file. Again it will take for the E. Again it will take for the S. You got it right. Not as this entire data, it will take chunk by chunk, and each chunk will be saved on this buffer and it will be moved to the next level. So if you are writing something on the streams, you should remember that everything is written on the buffer, and using buffer only everything is happening. Okay, so this is the buffer memory. You can allocate your own buffer memory for the node server if you are writing that, but generally we won't do that because it will take its own memory. So that is buffer. And C++ add-ons like JavaScript, so you can write your C++ code in Node.js, and you can, as we are requiring some, we are just simply using some require commands, right, for requiring some npm modules. In the same way, you can require C++ files also. So there is an option for using C++ codes also in the Node.js. For that, we have some add-ons here. That is called C++ add-ons. This is also in the same way C and C++ add-ons. And the next one is child process. Child processes for earlier I said Node.js is a single-threaded module. Okay. I think I'm getting some noise.
From backside?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Okay, no problem. You can be in your mute mode. If you
okay,
want, you can enable the mic.
mine also. I can't. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I will mute from my side.
Yes, yes.
The door is closed, but doors.
Yeah, yeah. Now it is fine. No need to mute.
No, it will come up again.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Okay, I'm muting and I will write in chat if there is something.
No problem. If you want, you can just enable and you can tell me.
Yeah.
Just for the clarity, I'm saying, because in future, if you again listen this, that won't disturb you, right? That's all.
Yes.
So this is child process. So child processor, as I said, the Node.js is fully a single threaded model. So if you're going to I mean, in real-time examples, people use very big machines. I mean, the servers that will be having quad-core processors, octa-core processor. So if you deploy a node server inside of that machine, as it is a single thread, it will use only one core from that machine, not the entire core. Even nowadays in the mobile phones also we are using quad cores, right? So in real-time servers, we'll be having so many cores. So we need to utilize the most of the CPU usage. So for that time, we'll go for child processors. So child processors, you can write a particular piece of the JS code, or you can run a particular command as an individual file, and you can run that particular piece as a child process. So that would be running individually now without any dependency on the main process of Node.js. So for that we'll use child processes, and the cluster is also the same way as I said, for using that CPU usage. So if you are clustering means you can cluster for suppose if you are deploying your node code on your quad core machine, there would be 4 cores inside that. So instead of using only one core, you can cluster that to the 4 cores. So now 4 main process would be running on the particular core. So now if you are hitting now, for example, if 4 users are directly trying to hit from the browser to the server, now this 4 clustering will be responding back. So that's how the cluster is used for the performance improvement of the node server. And command line options, you can give inputs through the command lines. Here the consoles, we saw that in console.logs, right? Those things. Crypto is for encryption and decryptions. So in real time, if you are using some passwords, I mean from for login means that passwords won't be hacked up through the network. So we should use crypto module for encrypting and decrypting. And debugger, as we saw that inspect mode, how to run like this. And these are some deprecated DAPAs, DNS also like HTTP. We can create our own servers in DNS. And these are some small modules. We don't need these things. File systems already we saw that for creating files, reading, deleting files, everything. Events now we saw that for we can create our own event emitters and event handlers. HTTP for creating HTTP server in the first level itself. We can see that in this file /bin www. Here we are requiring HTTP module for creating server. And here these are the HTTPS for creating HTTP secured servers. Again, internationalization, this and all are not much important. And the net is also one of the things. If you're going to create some chat application, instead of using HTTP server, we can use net module for creating, because you don't need to do some hypertext over the chat applications. You need to connect using socket. There would be a server, and with that server, some chat people should be connected. For example, if you're using WhatsApp means now all our mobile phones are connected through the WhatsApp. So now all other mobile phones are acting as a socket. There is no concept of browser client to the server and getting response. So if I'm just broadcasting something in the group, that will be broadcasted to the everyone in the group. So for those kind of things, we'll use this net module. And OS module is for getting the data where that Node.js is installed. What is the OS that is installed, what are the cores. In some cluster also I said, right, if that machine is on quad core or octa core, if we are going to use some cluster module for splitting all those cores, we should check whether a particular machine is quad core or octa core, right? For that we use this OS module. So it will be something, a middleware between the OS environment and your Node.js. And path just for handling the path. So even in our example, we have used path here for checking the path value. Here the path.join. That is, we are just joining the current directory with this text file. And the process is the main process of the single thread. The query strings are something like this, and we are using request.body, right? Here, body here. Sorry, that would be there in the controller layer. Yes, here we are using request.body. If it is a post call, we will be getting this data from the body. If it is a get call, we can send the data in the string itself. That there we will use query strings. And the REPL is the command prompt. That is this one. Sorry, node command prompt. Here you can see node command prompt. If you are installing Node.js, by default, this node command prompt would be installed. This is called a REPL. You need to go inside this, and if you're giving node as a command, now it will be acting as a command prompt. For example, if you're giving 3 plus 3, it will give you the result as the 6. And you can see all the details of the global objects and the processor details inside this. So it would be acting as an interface between the node server installed and the user. Suppose I'm giving the global means, you can see this is the entire global object that is installed with this Node.js process, everything. So this is called REPL stream. And streams already we have seen an example, right? Creating create stream, read stream, write stream, those examples. Sorry, that would be there in service. Read streams, yes. We are creating read streams, write streams, and we are writing files. So for this, we are using streams. String decoder, as I said, the buffer, right? Before we saw something called buffer. So inside buffer memory, everything would be saved as chunk by chunk. So, but if you try to print that chunk, means you won't see the exact data. You will see only some. 1 second. Yeah, the door comes close. Okay. Yes, sorry. So if you're using that buffer, that will store the data chunk by chunk, and the chunk data would be in some encrypted format. So for decrypting that format, you need to use the string decoder. Here you can see that. So buffer.from means we are going to access this data. You can see this is some encoded data. So you need to use string decoder. It is a module, and you need to create your own string code decoder. And the UTF-8 is our normal string format. So you need to write your decoder for this. And using this decoder, they are going to decrypt this buffer data. So decoder.write. Now they can see the actual value. So for that, we'll use this string decoder module again, and the timers and all, just maintaining timers like set immediate. You can call or you can execute a particular method in a time interval. So like the set immediate, set interval means you can run a particular method inside a. I mean, you can that method would be running in a particular interval. Suppose, for example, in real-time applications, there would be a data users data. You need to take that user data for each and every 1 hour, and you need to show to the client. Means you can set that into that set interval with 1 hour of time back. So every 1 hour that will take that data and it will send back to the user. Like that set timeout means after some time you need to, so means you can use set timeout. So those timing concepts, everything will be there in this timers. And V8 already we have seen that. And this UDP datagrams, everything is like protocol levels. This, and these are the not too much important these things. And worker threads is also very similar to our child process. So this is the major things in the Node.js. Okay. Yes, Priyanka, I think we have covered almost all topics. We can unmute now.
Yes.
So you just do one thing. You just have a look on our videos and everything. If you
Yeah.
have some free time, you just have work on this code base also. So whenever you have some doubt, you can directly ping on the group, or you can directly ping to me. I'll explain you that concepts, and if you have any queries, and if you are facing some issues in your interviews also, you can just tell me. I'll try to help you out. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Sure.
you. So for next session, I think we don't have any particular topics to cover. You just have a look on everything, and if you have any queries or the clarification based on your requirement, we'll have the next section. Okay.
Okay, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
And
Just
do
had a
you
good time with you.
know React.js?
So sorry. What about React JS? I
Uh-huh.
think React JS should be taken by some other person. We can we'll discuss
Okay.
with Money.
No, I
Okay.
just wanted to ask you if you know, then better I wanna go with you because I
Okay. Okay.
have
Fine.
changed like can you believe three trainers? You are the fourth one, and then I was
Oh.
wondering, why didn't you give me this guy in the very first time? I have
Okay.
joined
Okay.
training from 8th of the January, and
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I
Yes. I
got
got it.
HTML and CSS, and then some other one, and then you. So
Okay. But unfortunately, I'm not good that much good in React JS.
I mean,
Actually,
React.
I'm a backend developer
Oh, you are
professionally.
a backend developer? Okay.
Yes, yes, but I have some knowledge on front end also. Like Angular, I was working sometime before in Angular JS in
Uh,
first versions 1.5,
yes.
HTML5, CSS3. Now for every 6 months once they are releasing new versions.
Yeah, new version.
Now it is going to the Angular 7 or something.
Yes, yes.
That's why. So
Yeah.
in Node.js level, you can ping me at any time for
Yeah.
the services level levels. Okay.
Yes, sure, sure.
Okay. See
Okay,
you, Priyanka. Bye bye.
thank you so much. Bye bye.
Yeah.